787-2222.
Good morning. You're on 100.1 Moose FM. I'm Dub, and I'm joined this morning by Heather, the curator of the Fort St. John North Peace Museum. How are you doing today, Heather?
Good, you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you very much. You've got a couple of events coming up to sort of round out August here. We'll talk about your presentation on the CP Rail and avalanches coming up, in a little more than a week, or I guess a week from today, actually. But first, you've got a brand new cemetery tour. First time you're doing this coming up this Saturday. Tell us all about it.
Right, so we've always wanted to do some more rural cemeteries, and we have done Taylor, but we wanted to do a smaller community, and Cecil Lake seemed like the best fit. A cemetery with a fair number of people in it and fairly close to town. So it's a beautiful cemetery just off the highway, lots of trees in one area in the old part and so on. So we're going to be there this Saturday at 2 p.m. The tour will last about an hour. And we'll be taking you through some of the homesteaders there, some of the nurses like Vi Woodward and Nurse Claxton, some of the trappers, storekeepers, and others who made this community home. So we have lots of great stories to share, just putting the final touches on it this week.
Absolutely. Are these people who were also kind of working in kind of the Fort St. John area as well, or most of them kind of Cecil Lakers, if we want to call that?
The communities are quite intertwined, so lots of them. For example, Nurse Vi Woodward was working in town, as well as she started working at the Cecil Lake Outpost Hospital and so on. So there's lots of links between the communities. Some of the homesteaders were, spent most of their time in Cecil Lake, but Fort St. John being the main community would have come in here for occasional extra groceries and so on. And this has been a great opportunity to partner with some groups out in Cecil Lake. So the Nora Pioneer Women's Institute is hosting a tea at 3:30 at the Cecil Lake Community Hall following the tour, and St. Matthias Anglican Church is also open, so that amazing little log church that they have out there, you can see inside it after the cemetery tour.
I see. Okay. And I'm just kind of looking at the map here. If you don't know where Cecil Lake is, I suppose the cemetery's just kind of past it if you're heading east, correct?
Yeah, so if you're heading from Fort St. John through Cecil Lake, then you will pass through most of the community, and then you'll hit the parking lot just before the cemetery. The parking lot is a decent size for a rural cemetery, but we do encourage carpooling because if we do get a lot of people on the tour, we just don't have room for each person to take their individual vehicle.
Gotcha. And I think it's $10 cash kind of at the gate, eh?
It is.
Okay, perfect. And you, again, as per usual, you don't have to sign up ahead of time. And we should mention, this is not a scary tour. This isn't about ghost stories. This is about learning local history, which is very cool. I did, where's my notes here? Yes, we did want to make sure we mention this. You've got a presentation coming up, I think you said not this Tuesday, but next Tuesday, all about CP Rail and avalanches you want to talk about as well.
Yeah, so we have been hosting the Land of Thundering Snow, which is a traveling exhibit on avalanches from the Revelstoke Museum and Archives. And it's still here for another month, so you're welcome to come down and see it. But to tie in with that, I'm going to talk a bit about my master's thesis from a long time ago, about the Canadian Pacific Railway and avalanches. So I'm going to look at the first winter after they built the railway through the mountains of Alberta and BC, how they did their avalanche observations, how they worked to keep the line open with the construction of snow sheds, use of rotary snow plows, work crews, and so on. And I'm also going to talk about the significant avalanche disasters that they dealt with. And how their route choice came back to affect them when they selected Rogers Pass over the Yellowhead Pass, and how that created trouble for them to keep the lines open.
Okay. And you said that's next, I assume, Tuesday evening?
That's next Tuesday at 7 at the museum. It's free. Donations are welcome.
All right. So we got the Cecil Lake Cemetery Tour coming up this Saturday at 2 p.m. at the Cecil Lake Cemetery. Make sure you bring $10 cash to get in. The CP Rail and Avalanches presentation, not this Tuesday, but next Tuesday at 7 p.m. at the museum. Anything else you want to say before we let you go there, Heather?
Well, we'll be at the block party too with our
Yes.
fish pond. So
Excellent. Coming up in like 3 weeks' time or whatever. That's coming up fast as well. All right, Heather. Well, it's always a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for your time today.
thank you.
You're very welcome. That's Heather from the Fort St. John North Peace Museum.
This community interview is supported by your Member of Parliament, Bob Zimmer. Stop by his office in Fort St. John at 9916